Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update on the current situation here in Spain, day 292 of the current situation. And today, the 31st of December, we say goodbye to 2020 and let's hope that 2021 can be a little bit better than this last year. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation. You can see your name here. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your support. Now let's get into the news, and I wish I could start with some positive news for the end of 2020, but it's not the case. And as we can see here, the vaccine here in Spain will not prevent the arrival of the third wave, which is expected for the 6th of January, or Reyes as it's known in Spain, or the Three Kings Day. Experts take the blow for granted, which will overlap the second wave, while immunity is a distant horizon. The start of the vaccination will not prevent the third wave of coronavirus in Spain. The Minister of Health, Salvador Illa, already took for granted days ago the beginning of a new wave and hoped to minimize it. At this point, the experts consulted agree that little can be done since the rebound in infections has been observed for a few weeks. Yesterday there were 16,716 cases and 247 deaths. So some bad news there to end 2020, that the second wave is going to be overlapped by the third wave here in Spain. The health department thought that the rise in infections could be minimized, but that doesn't seem to have been the case. And the 6th of January, or the end of the holiday period here in Spain, not looking good. Now, on the topic of the Health Minister, Mr. Illa, or should I say soon-to-be former Health Minister, Mr. Illa, as he has decided to stand down and run for the top Catalan job. Health Minister Salvador Illa, the face of Spain's battle against coronavirus, is stepping down to run for the top post in Catalonia in February's regional elections, his party said Wednesday. Illa, who served as health minister in the government of Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, which took office in January, has won huge visibility for coordinating the fight against the virus, with near-daily TV appearances to update the nation on the situation. Illa will run as the head of the Socialist Party of Catalonia, the PSC, the local branch of Sánchez's Socialist Party, when regional elections take place on February the 14th. But the 54-year-old, who hails from the northeastern Catalonia region, has also been targeted by Spain's right and far-right opposition, who have denounced his terrible management of the pandemic. So Mr. Illa there deciding to stand down, or somebody deciding for him that he should stand down and run for the top job in Catalonia, most likely due to the high presence that he has obtained throughout 2020 due to the pandemic. Now, the Valencian community, which as we know has some of the strictest measures in place at the moment over the Christmas period, has decided to crack down on people who are planning to celebrate this New Year's Eve. We can see here that the Generalitat Valenciana has prohibited DJs to avoid the afternoon parties on New Year's Eve. The Valencian government has prohibited the presence of DJ nightlife venues. The ban seeks to limit the impact of New Year's Eve and evening celebration prior to New Year's Eve dinner. Thus, through a resolution of the Ministry of Health published urgently in the official Gazette of the Generalitat Valenciana this afternoon, the Health Department has also suspended the performance of karaoke or sporadic performances, as well as the performance of DJs, announcers, or the like. So the Valencian government deciding that it was time to act and crack down on all of the rumoured illegal parties that were going to take place today. And one of the ways they think they can do this is by banning DJs and karaoke performances. Now let's have a look at the health situation in Spain by looking at a map of the country in various autonomous communities. First, starting with the country as a whole, we can see that the risk level here says high, but it is actually extreme at the moment. The total amount of cases now cracking the 1.9 million mark. The accumulated incidence rate in the last 14 days, 265. There have been 646 COVID-related deaths in the last 7 days. There are currently 11,905 COVID patients hospitalised around Spain, and there are 2,035 COVID patients in ICUs, which is just over 21% of all ICUs around the country. The Balearic Islands now, the number one hotspot in the country. We can see that the risk level there says high, but it is also now extreme. The total amount of cases, the accumulated incidence rate in the last 14 days, 528. There have been 10 COVID-related deaths in the last 7 days, 417 COVID patients currently hospitalised in the Balearic Islands, and there are 92 COVID patients in ICUs, which is 31.5% of ICUs in the Balearic Islands. The Valencian community now, we can see the risk level is extreme. The total amount of cases, the accumulated incidence rate there now up to 377. There have been 129 deaths in the last 7 days. The hospital pressure, we can see that there are currently 1,875 people hospitalised in the Valencian community with COVID, and there are 306 COVID patients in ICUs in Valencia, just under 30% of ICUs in that autonomous community. And finally, the Canary Islands, we can see there that the risk level is low, the total amount of cases, the accumulated incidence rate in the last 14 days now at 130. There have been 15 COVID-related deaths in the last 7 days, 297 people currently hospitalised in the Canary Islands with COVID, and there are 51 patients in ICUs in the Canary Islands, which is an 11.5% occupancy rate of ICUs in that particular part of Spain. Now, as we know, 2020 has been a disastrous year here in Spain regarding the health situation and the economy, and as we can see here, the coronavirus marks the economy of 2020, the year of the furlough schemes, the historical fall in GDP, and the collapse of the tourism sector. 2020 will be remembered for the effects of the coronavirus. The pandemic has left tens of thousands of deaths in Spain and has altered the daily lives of millions of Spaniards. The economic consequences have also been exceeding the worst expectations month after month. Confinement, closures, furlough schemes, or outbreaks have conditioned a year marked by an economic crisis that no one could imagine in December of 2019. So there we go, 2020 here in Spain, confinements, furlough schemes, outbreaks, businesses closing down all over the country, and a lot of people looking to put 2020 behind them for good. And finally, a piece of news that caught my attention, and for anybody looking to buy or rent an abandoned village here in Spain, and it is that they have set up a website to sell abandoned villages in Galicia. The Xunta de Galicia has launched a website with properties in the middle of nature to rent or buy. The Xunta has decided to create a website to launch real estate offers in the middle of nature with the option to buy or sell. The portal will be up and running in January and was born from the idea of regenerating many villages that are uninhabited throughout the region. The global pandemic due to the coronavirus, which forced the decree of confinement in Spain, has caused many people to consider moving to rural Spain and value it as a desirable place to live. Most of those interested are people living in urban centres of the country. So if you're planning on moving out of the city as a result of the coronavirus in 2020 and you fancy living in an abandoned village in rural Galicia, now is the time for you. On that note, let's have a look at some of the comments from recent videos. First one here from Tilly. Why don't people challenge the government to prove why you have to wear masks? The doctors I have listened to have disapproved it, but the Spanish people seem to just roll over on any order or instruction. Here in Queensland, masks are only optional. As such, you see maybe 8 masks to every 200 people. I can assure you we are all alive and kicking and healthy with it. Yeah, Tilly, thanks for the comment, but I'm just going to point out that the situation in Queensland or any other state in Australia is nothing compared to the situation here in Spain. It's nothing compared to the situation in the UK. It's nothing compared to the situation in France, and I'm not even going to mention the United States. I mentioned in a video last week, or perhaps the week before, that in my opinion many people in Australia have no idea what is happening in other places around the world. They hear the news, of course, but they can't quite fathom what exactly is going on in this part of the world, and comments like this one reinforce my opinion. And I think one of the main reasons why the majority of people don't challenge the government on mask wearing is because they believe that it's the best thing to do, especially in closed or crowded situations. One here from Robert. What does coño mean? Google translates it as but I doubt it means that. Yeah, Robert, thanks for the comment and thanks for the question. It is a word that you're going to hear a lot here in Spain, and it does mean what the dictionary told you it means. However, that word here is also used frequently as an interjection. People use it here to show emotion, as we saw yesterday in the example from James Rhodes, Viva España, coño. And I must say that it is one of the most frequently used words here in Spain. You'll hear it all the time, especially when you're with friends. It has a lot of different uses. For example, ¿qué coño está pasando? ¿Qué coño estás diciendo? Is also something that you'll hear quite often. And I think it's right up there in terms of popularity with other Spanish classics like cojones y joder. One here from Jimmy Johnny. A happy new year to you, Stuart. Regardless of the broad spectrum of opinions, we appreciate your tolerance. In the end, we all just want what is best. Yeah, Jimmy Johnny, thanks for the comment. A happy new year to you too, and I hope you have a good 2021. And you're right, there is a broad spectrum of opinion on this channel, but I think that's just a reflection of society in general. As I have said on many occasions, I'm quite tolerant of people's opinions unless they get too toxic or abusive. And over the last 9 months or so, I have seen a lot of crazy comments. Crazy in my opinion, but obviously for others, they're not crazy. But I think you're right, and the large majority just want what is best for everyone. One here from Brandywell. Cold here, the temperature struggles to get over the 10-degree mark. You lucky lad. Greetings from the UK, where we struggle to get over the 1-degree mark. Yeah, Brandywell, thanks for the comment. I do realise that there are colder places in the world than Madrid. Madrid is cold for me. It might not be cold for you. It depends what you are used to. I know that there's quite a few people in Canada that watch these videos, and obviously 10 degrees Celsius is nothing for them. Probably a heat wave, in fact. But as you all probably know by now, I come from Perth and I was never really used to cold winters before I came here. I never owned a coat, gloves, scarf or anything like that before I came to Madrid. So it is a bit of a shock for me still, even after 22 years of living here. And that's also one of the reasons why I would like to move to a place where the winters aren't so cold. The Canary Islands at this time of the year looks fantastic. Even in a place like Malaga, you've got the opportunity to sit outside in the sun and get a bit of warmth on the old body. But in this part of Spain, unfortunately, it's not the case. One here from Stefan. Thanks, Stuart, for the regular heads up on the situation in Spain during this horrible year. Married with a Spaniard, we had to cancel our visits to the family in Catalonia planned for the year. Can't wait to be back on the road heading to the Mediterranean Sea. Stay healthy, good luck with Las Uvas tomorrow, and keep up this great channel also in 2021. Hopefully under better conditions once we leave COVID behind. Greetings from Germany. P.S. Germany will not have such register. Germans are reluctant with data. Yeah, Stefan, thanks for the comment, and sorry to see that you haven't been able to get down to Catalonia this year, get down to the Mediterranean, get out of that German winter. But as you said, hopefully the situation will improve in 2021. And that register that you mentioned there, we spoke about that a little bit yesterday, that the Spanish government plans to set up a register with the names of people who refuse to take the COVID-19 vaccine, and that data is going to be shared with Europe. Interesting you say that Germany won't have such a register. I also saw somebody mention that Portugal has said that they won't have a similar register. So I can't understand why it's only going to be Spain sharing data with the EU and not other EU countries. Seems a bit strange. But then again, everything that's happened in 2020 has been strange. One here from Torquemada. Es tua, tienes que hacerte de Podemos y te regalarán la doble nacionalidad. Para mí, ya lo eres. Gracias, Torquemada, por el comentario. Para ti soy de Podemos, para otros soy del Partido Popular y para algunos soy de Vox. Pero ¿de verdad no sabéis de qué partido soy? Os lo digo, ninguno. One here from Sue and Alan. Thank you for all your hard work. May 2021 be better. Yes, Sue and Alan, thanks for the comment, and let's hope 2021 is better. I'm optimistic. I think the first few months are going to be a little bit difficult. I think we all know that. But I'm optimistic that throughout 2021 we can start to put this terrible pandemic behind us, start to get back to some type of normal in our lives, that we can begin socializing again, that we can begin traveling again, that we can begin to do all of the things that we like to do without the restrictions that we have at the moment. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. I hope everybody has a fantastic end to 2020 and that 2021 is, as I said before, a better year than this one. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you all next year. Feliz año. I'm going to take a few days off, so I'll see you then. Hasta luego.